Hello and welcome to the Bucket Lister podcast. Join your host Keith Crockford, along with special guests who have travelled the world, here to share stories of their adventures and plenty of inspo to add to your bucket list. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Bucket Lister podcast. I am your host, Keith, and today I am joined by a good friend of mine, Alex. Now, before we introduce Alex, this episode's going out slightly later on a Wednesday due to time difference and being able to track this man down, because Alex is our head guide in Peru and does most of our Machu Picchu treks. And I've wanted to get Alex onto the podcast for a long time now, and I've finally managed to get him off a tour and actually be able to chat with him. So hello, Alex.
Hello, my dear friend. Hello, everybody. Yes, my name is Alex. I'm a professional local guide. I was born here in the Choquequirao Valley near to Machu Picchu, and I'm 18 years working in this as a tour guide. You know, I'm happy to always share the knowledge about my ancestors to any people, groups come here.
So I've worked with you now, Alex, for a long, long time, and I was very fortunate that the first ever time I came to Peru, you were the local guide that I was given, and since that day, I have always requested, if you have been available, that you are the guide on our trips, because I just love your passion for Machu Picchu in Peru and your knowledge and how you tell the story of and the journey and how trips just evolve when you're leading them. But let's start off, Alex, with how did you first of all get into travel and being a tour guide?
Well, my first time, a long time ago when I was a teenager, I used to work as a vendor in the market in Pisac in the Choquequirao Valley. So that was my first time with foreigners, people, tourists. But by that time, I was not interested about the language or so. But then years later, when I was in Cusco, my cousin is also a guide. He one day took me to one nice dinner with a group from Glasgow. Yeah, from Glasgow.
Did you manage to understand them or not?
No, I had no idea any words that day. I didn't understand any word. I just said yes, no. So I was like drinking. I was very happy. And that day I was just watching, observing the people and say, I love this. I like meeting people. I like to share about my culture to other people who appreciate this. And that's the day I took the decision. I say, okay, I want to be tour guide. I'm outdoor person. I love hiking, camping, you know. So since I was very young, little, so that's why I said no. This is for me, and that's the day when I just took the decision. And after that group, I also studied English and went to school to be a tour guide for 3 years in a school.
And obviously, you know, you lead the trekking tours. So whether that's an Inca Trail trek, a Salkantay Trek, a Lares trek, you also do the city guiding. You also do the Machu Picchu tour guiding as well. So you really are a kind of all-round tour guide, aren't you? In terms of, it's not just the hiking you do the city tours and everything as well, don't you?
Yes, you're right. I do. Well, first I started with just treks, hikes, and then day tours, city tours, then family trips. Then I take groups from Lima to other cities as well, like your tour guides they do from UK, you know. So yeah, that's what I also do, and I do museums. I do private services. I did pretty much everything. So I'm lucky that I learned from the very, very bottom of this business. I started as a porter. So I started as a porter, then I was head porter, then I was assistant guide, then treks, then cultural tours, traditional tours, long trips, tour manager, all those. I did pretty much everything.
And that's why we love having you, Alex, on our team, because we only need one of you and you can cover everything for us. So that's why we love having Alex on our trips. Alex, obviously, I've been fortunate enough to go to Machu Picchu with you now many times, whether that be on a Lares, on an Inca Trail, on a Salkantay Trek. But just give our listeners, and for anyone that's listened to this podcast before, obviously, we've done several episodes now on Inca Trail, Machu Picchu, Lares Trek. We've discussed them all, but that's really come from kind of our perspective of it. So I think it would be really interesting, Alex, to hear your perception of each of the treks and kind of the bits you like about them, the bits you don't like about them, which one you think suit different people. So just talk us through like the different treks to get to Machu Picchu.
Okay. So those three are beautiful in different ways, right? They're beautiful in different ways. Let's start. Lares is more like a back into the past. It's like we have an idea how my ancestors before the Spanish, came. They used to live in small houses built with stones, with thatch roof. They have the llamas, they have the alpacas. I call it like a cultural immersion, right? It's not just like a hike. As well, we have the view of the mountains. We have the view of the animals, the llamas, alpacas, or so. That's Lares, right? It's more like a culture, right? We usually visit one of the houses inside, and we have the experience with the locals. And second about Lares, what I like is that it's not very popular and it's not crowded. It's not. The most popular where we have more groups are Inca Trail and Salkantay, but Lares, we don't. And we also have different roads, different ways. And we don't have like only one way that all the groups we just go. That's why we are more like a spread. Sometimes we're the only group on that way.
I don't think every time I've done the Lares Trek with you, Alex, I don't think we've ever seen another group, have we?
No, we haven't seen any other group the time we did. Yeah, that's what I like, Lares. That connection with the mountains, with the people. That's like the cultural immersion with locals there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of my favorite things from that trek is like you say, going into the local people's houses. We've picked potatoes before. Can you remember when we took Emma into that house and all the guinea pigs were running around and she didn't know what to do with herself and she was she looked proper scared because there was but that was really and I just love that from that trip that you get that, like you say, it is just a cultural immersion. And it's still not an easy trek, is it? You're still hitting 4,400 meters in altitude.
Yes, still is the elevation. The elevation is 4,460 meters above sea level. So we feel that elevation, So that is not that easy, right? But it's not very, very intense or long ways. And the terrain of Lares is not like a very steep mountain. It's like a more gradual up and also downhill. So the terrain is nice.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I love about the Lares is the fact that we can pick campsites where you want to stop. It's if the group have had enough for that day, we can stop and camp there. We don't need to be thinking about we have to get to the campsite, and we can only camp here.
Exactly, my friend. You're right. Yes, that's the thing about Lares. If, for example, something happened, the people or we need to slow down or so, So there is no like a pressure, to get there. We can just move the campsite nearer, closer. And that's a good benefit about Lares.
And then the other thing I love about the Lares Trek is obviously, our team of horse people that help us, they are from that region, aren't they? They are local people. And like in the evenings when we are camping near to their town, like their families will come and say hello to us, and their children will come up and we'll play football with their kids. And it's just, again, immersing yourself in that local culture, isn't it?
Right. Yes. That is actually because the horse wranglers or the people, they own horses. So we pay for the horses and these guys as well, but their families, because for them, the best way, the best appreciation they can do for you is like through the food. They come and brings potatoes or something simple, just potatoes and cheese, boiled potatoes and cheese, but share with the family, the wives, the kids. They come and they always do that one. It's like a part of the tradition, So that's what I like. Well, you had that experience too.
Like, I think one of my most favorite moments on a Lares trek, and I feel really bad because I've forgotten his name now, the little boy, because it was the school holidays and he joined his father for the whole trip, and he became a horse wrangler for the whole trip. And then when we got the team together at the end of this trip and we were doing our thank yous and giving our gratitudes and giving our tips, we had separated out a little tip for this young lad.
Yes.
And we got him to come up and accept this tip, and the smile on his face that he had been tipped the same as all of the elders was just amazing for me to see. It was kind of like giving him that opportunity to say, I've started work in the real world now.
Yes, that's true. And also what I like of Lares, it's like it's more the people. You're for them. You're not tourists. You're just visitor passing by the place, and they just observe you. And we get in touch with the locals, the young ones. They run. They come to say hello. So that is the experience about Lares, and also the trail. The view, the mountains, the lakes that we have along the way.
Yeah, because as we've said before, and for anyone just listening to this episode and hasn't heard the other episodes before, the Inca Trail trek is really the only trek where you trek into Machu Picchu. The Lares trek, we kind of finish, and then we head to Ollantaytambo, and then we get the train then up to Aguas Calientes, where we stay the night before we head into Machu Picchu. And I was actually at the Adventure Travel Show this weekend, just gone in London. And it's the one, and there was a lot of people were talking to me actually about, that they had Machu Picchu on their bucket list and asking which routes I recommended. And for me, I think, I've done the Inca Trail, and I'm more than happy to do the Inca Trail again and again and again. But the thing I love about the Salkantay or the Lares trek is I kind of separate the Machu Picchu and the trek as two different things. And I really like staying in a hotel the night before and getting up and having a shower and putting clean clothes on and going and enjoying my day in Machu Picchu, and seeing that kind of as a tourist, I suppose. Whether or not that's because I've been there multiple times, that's the way I like to do it now, I don't know. But I just think I like separating them out as two different things. And I just think that having that night before to relax in a hotel, and then, because for a lot of people, the bucket list tick is Machu Picchu. Like, the thing they really want to do is go and see Machu Picchu. And I just think if you can go and do that in a relaxed manner and have a wander around in not have to carry everything with you, and, you've been in the same clothes for the last 4 days on a trek, I just think is a really nice way of doing it that the Lares gives you.
Yes, yes, after that shower, after that night, makes a big difference. The experience is, the three of them is beautiful to get there. But you stay one night, you usually take a shower, as you said, have breakfast, and you're more fresh, and you usually enjoy more Machu Picchu that way.
Yeah, I think that's for me. That's what I kind of like. And with the Lares trek, you do get a bit of time to explore Olite Tambo, which is a lovely, lovely little town. And then you get the luxury of doing the train ride twice, then up to Aguas Calientes as well, because you go up there on the train and then you come back on the train as you do with the other two trips as well. So which trip do you want to talk about next then, Alex? Do you want to go on to the Inca Trail or the Salkantay?
Okay, let's do Salkantay, you think?
Yeah, go on then.
All right. Salkantay, what I like of Salkantay, it's more like the scenery, the view, right? Salkantay, it's in the top 20, I think, by the National Geographic, but more about the scenery, because you are, in one day, you're camping near the glacier by 4,100 meters above sea level, and the next day, you're camping near to coffee plantations, or by the cloud forest, high jungle. So there are like a big different ecosystems on this trek. So that's why Salkantay, it's becoming more popular every year, because the first day we are going also to see one big mountain, a special one. That is the Apu Salkantay, very special mountain. Then we go to 4,600 meters. And then we have a big drop down. That's where we go through different ecosystems, right? It's a big drop down. So from 4,600 meters to 2,900 meters or 2,800 meters is a big drop down. So that it is where we go through different ecosystems. Also, there's like a different experience on Salkantay. When I go, I take the groups of bucket list. We go and try to camp near coffee plantations the next day to have the experience about the coffee. We roast the coffee, we ground it, we filter it, we drink it. We as well go to the hot springs to relax. That's in between the trip and the day 3. It's like a combination of different activities. That's what I like of Salkantay. It's like a one-day camping near to the glacier to see the stars or so, enjoy it. Second day is like an intensity, like a big challenge day. Yeah, it's a big day, 22 kilometers more or less. But the ecosystems are different. Day 3 is more like an easy day, but we have the coffee experience. We go in a local transportation and enjoy the hot springs. And then we go back to camp by the coffee plantations. Then we see Machu Picchu in the distance on the day 4, right? And then we go, and same as Salkantay, as Lares Trek, we stay in Aguascalientes, where we as well take a shower, and the next morning we're more fresh, and we enjoy Machu Picchu on that way, right? So Salkantay, that's the difference. There are different activities, different ecosystems, different views. In terms of intensity, Salkantay would be the number 1. Lares maybe number 3, Inca Trail in between. So that's what I like of Salkantay as well. The different experience, and as well it is changing. By now we still are campers or so, but it's changing. So that's what I want to go every time I have the chance to go to Salkantay. I go because I know that I don't know in 5 years it's going to be different. It's going to be like a little towns in those campsites. So it seems like it's changing very quick.
Yeah.
So.
And I think one thing, Alex, as well, is obviously with the Lares and the Salkantay, we don't need permits to do those treks, do we? With the Lares, with the Inca Trail, permits are really strict, aren't they? Number of permits are getting harder to get hold of. So I think for a lot of people, obviously at the Bucket List Company, we're planning our trips so far in advance. If you book a trip for, end of 25, 26, your permits will be secured. That's not a problem. But if you suddenly woke up and went, oh, I want to go to Peru next week and I'm going to go and do the Inca Trail, the chances are you're not going to get a permit at that short notice, is it?
Yeah, that's the Inca Trail is the one that we have a limited number of permits issued per day, and we book it far in advance. We usually, like a half year or 8 months in advance, we need everything ready here, right? It's more to secure campsites. Sometimes people, they ask and say, hey, there are still permits. Yes, but I cannot get the campsite we want. And sometimes it changes all the itinerary of the Inca Trail. So Lares and Salkantay, in this case, is still flexible, right? Still flexible because I just follow and see where we have more tickets, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., wherever. We just take it and then we go Machu Picchu, For the other one, we don't have that choice. It's only one ticket. We book it in advance, right? So that is more scenery, more the experience to be by the big mountain, the glacier with lots of granite. Many people feel the energy of Salkantay. I forgot to mention that. And the people like it, and they voted for Salkantay as well, is because there are many people that say, Alex, there is something up there in that mountain, like a different energy. Obviously, yes, because all the that big mountain is actually white gray granite. 30% is just quartz. So that's why the people feel the energy in Salkantay, So that is about Salkantay. More culture, more sin, less people, less groups, more culture will be the Lares trip. So that would be 2. And you don't need to book it far in advance, but it's still better to be, safe than sorry. And do everything in advance.
And I think the other confusion for a lot of people here is, I have so many conversations with people who say, like, I want to go, like, the Inca Trail is so popular that people feel like they have to do the Inca Trail. But it doesn't matter which of those treks you are doing, you are walking an Inca Trail, aren't you? There is thousands of miles of Inca Trail through South America. And when you're on the Lares Trek, you are on an Inca Trail. There's Inca Trail. So it's not just that's for the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. That's just the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu, isn't it? But there are Inca Trails all around where we're trekking on any of those 3 treks.
Yeah, the Incas have 26 to 28,000 miles of Inca Trails. It's not the Inca Trail. That's one Inca Trail. They have commercial trails. For example, the Lares Trek, it was a commercial Inca Trail that used to and it still connects the Circular Valley with the high jungle. And the people still trade crops, coffee, fruits from the jungle with corn, potatoes from the Circular Valley and salt from the mountains. They still use a commercial trail. That's what I like Lares. In Salkantay, it was as well an Inca Trail. The Incas used to do the pilgrimage to that big mountain, to the glacier. As well, the people kept using that commercial trail because that was the way to bring fruits from the jungle as well. Remember I mentioned it, that we can't buy coffee plantations, so there are fruits that way. So that was the way as well for locals as a commercial trail, right? So that is it's like experience. The Inca Trail is different because that's the most preserved trail that we have.
Yeah, and let's not forget the coca leaves as well, Alex. Like, they're coming through the trails as well, aren't they? Like, they're coming from the jungle.
Yes, they're coming from the jungle. That was the way. Yeah, they used to bring coca leaves from the jungle on llamas those days. Then later, in the 1800s until early 1900s, they used that trail, the Salkantay, to bring coca leaves and fruits from the jungle until the government built a big road, and that changed everything. And that's when the hikers started going that way. It's like people who want to go and see that big mountain, So they both are similar in that way. Fresh, good shower, hotel, and then Machu Picchu. You don't need to book it far in advance. but we just need to be flexible the time of the ticket because we take the time or the permit that is available, So, but it is. But the Inca Trail is different, Let's talk about the Inca Trail now, kid.
Carry on with the Inca Trail.
The Inca Trail, it's in the top 10 as well, because it goes through different ecosystems. It's more history, right? Inca Trail is more like a history. It's like you're stepping on the same rocks that the last Incas did before they escaped from Machu Picchu. Something that the Spanish never found, right? Something that the Spanish never been to. That makes very special the Inca Trail. That's why the people who do more spirituality and they practice that one, when they go to the Inca Trail, they say, wow, Alex, I feel energy of people, because that was the way of my ancestors used to be, So the Inca Trail, it's the only one, as Kit said, that goes direct to Machu Picchu. Because if some people, why they say, hey, if you go Machu Picchu, you have to do the Inca Trail, because you have to hike it all the way, because some people want to have the same experience as the Incas did those days, hiking through the Sun Gate to Machu Picchu, So some people want to have that experience. That's why for them, it's very special, It's very special because it's only the trail going through exactly the same way as these people in the 1400s, 1500s, they used to do. The same one. That's why for them, it's very special. So Inca Trail, as we do have more ruins, we don't have locals, We have a nice view of the mountains like the Machu Picchu behind. So we have ecosystems too. Yeah, they're not like a big days, long days. But the thing about Inca Trail is the steps. Some people, when they say, hey, Alex, it's only 14 kilometers, 12 kilometers, not that bad. Yes, but don't forget the stairs. That makes it harder than Lares Trek. The steps. It makes harder than Salkantay. Sorry, than Lares.
The Gringo Killer.
The Gringo Killer, right? The Gringo Killer. Yeah. So
I always remember, Alex, when Dave came out and did the Inca Trail, and he came back and he went, I'll do the Lares, I'll do the Salkantay, but I am never doing the Inca Trail again. Just because the stairs, the stairs up and down, he said, my knees cannot do the Inca Trail again.
Yeah, that's for people with bad knees, Inca Trail, stuff. The Salkantay is a long way down. That some people call, oh, that's brutal. That's this Inca, the Gringo Killer on the Salkantay, So, but Inca Trail is not long distances, not very high elevation. Actually, the highest one in the terms of elevation, 4,600 meters, is Salkantay. Second is Lares Trek, 4,460. Then Inca Trail, 4,200 meters.
And that's Dead Woman's Pass.
The Dead Woman's Pass.
And, Dead Woman's Pass, a lot of people, obviously it's given the name Dead Woman's Pass. And let's just clarify here that the reason it's called the Dead Woman's Pass is because if you look at the top of the mountain, it looks like a woman's head lying down. It's not that it's going to kill you as you're trekking up it. But, most people, that's the thing they're worried about, isn't it, on the Inca Trail, is the Dead Woman's Pass. And I always say the worst bit's coming back down the other side and going down the steps, not walking up the hill.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's just a name. It's just the silhouette, as you said. It's the silhouette of a woman lying down. And the locals, they call it, looks like a Warmi Wanyuska. It looks like a dead woman's. And that's the way. And well, we don't know about, Keith, the statistics of the Inca Trail, it tells that there is more women than men hiking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know
Yeah, I
why.
think if you
Maybe
look at our group, I think if you look at our groups over the years, I think we've probably had more women than we have men, I would say.
do you think that women's past they want to conquer it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And like on all of the treks, your kit is carried for you. Horses are used for the Salkantay and horses are used for the Lares trek, but horses can't be used for the Inca Trail because they are trying to preserve the trail itself. So everything has to be on human foot. So there are porters that are carrying the bags. And there's been a lot of work recently, Alex, hasn't it, to improve porter conditions on the trail. They're not allowed to carry heavy loads anymore. It's very strict on how much they can carry, how much they're getting paid. And that's really kind of changed over the last few years, isn't it?
Yes. There is like a new regulations as well. The government regulated now the payment for the porters too, and as well they reduced the weight. 2000 is the first time that the Inca Trail was regulated, and the regulation was 30 kilograms per porter. Then the Inca Trail was regulated again after, and it was 25 kilograms, right? Then the last year of 2022 is when they changed, but since 2024 they are doing it. The following now is that one porter carries 20 kilograms of the group of company and 5 kilograms of his stuff, 25, right? But before we didn't have regulations for the women porters. So the new regulation is more about the women porters. They have 15 kilograms, right? So, but this is up to the group of porters. Sometimes they prefer to work just in between guys, So, but that's the new regulation, and as well about payment. Yeah, they increase it a little bit more. Yeah, which is good for them. It's good for them. I know how hard they work. I know it's not
definitely
easy.
And that's what I always say to our groups. As you're walking up, Dead Woman's Pass, or as you're coming down the Gringo Killer, or as you're walking up to the Sun Gate, like if you had to carry your bag up there, like how much money would you be happy to pay to get somebody to carry your bag up? Like, so why are you worried about tipping a little bit to show your gratitude for these people carrying your bags? And I just think like, as soon as you sort of put it into that context, people very much go, oh yeah, you've got a really good point. Because, if you look at this, if you asked a customer to put one of those bags on that the porters are carrying, I don't think they go very far with it. They are super strong men and women now. Like there's a lot more women on the trail.
Yes, there's more now, but still more porters are guys, man.
And you spoke earlier, Alex, as well about the campsites. And on the Inca Trail, when you book your permit, as Alex said just a minute ago, you need to book in the campsites or you request the campsites you want. And that can really change your Inca Trail experience, can't you? Because if you get the ideal campsites, it kind of breaks your days up quite nicely into like perfect stopping points, really. But if you don't get the campsites you want, then it can really create long days, can't it? In really short days, because, you might end up only having a 7K trek between campsites. And then the next day you've got a 17K trek because the campsites you've been given don't kind of follow your plan.
Yes, that makes a big difference, to be honest, because the classic, the itinerary that we have in bucket list, it's more or less following, the distance, that is more enjoyable, because sometimes, as you said, sometimes we have a 1 day going over 2 peaks, and that's a knee killer. I have people before and said, Alex, why? Did you book late? Yes. Okay, that's why. Because they probably took the campsites that they had. Because the most important is just to get a permit. Second is the campsite. But first, I want to just get a permit, Doesn't matter the campsite. I just want to make sure you are in the trail, in the park, right? But then with the campsite, sometimes we just have to adapt, Sometimes, for example, the last campsite is only 5-6 kilometers to Machu Picchu, right? But if you don't make that one, there is another one 5 hours away from Machu Picchu, right? So that's the day you have another big day. And we usually are Machu Picchu more tired. And we just see, okay, Alex, nice, let's go. We don't see more too much Machu Picchu. 5 hours, 5 kilometers is okay. 2 hours is okay. We're still fresh. We just need a coffee outside of Machu Picchu in the cafeteria, and we just go into the tour, right? But if we do a long day 4, we are more tired. And the tour is like a super short tour that we do.
Yeah.
So
for us, we're always making sure that we are getting our permits in early, that we're getting the good campsites, because they are designated campsites. You can't just stop on the Inca Trail. You can't just put your tents up wherever you want. They need to go into the designated campsites, don't they?
Yes. Do we have a number and place where we have to get there? Something happened there, we can do it for emergency, but that sounds honestly not easy to do.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, and I don't want Alex to go into too much detail about Machu Picchu itself, because I think that is the magic of going on a Machu Picchu trek with Alex, is learning all about Machu Picchu and why it's there, and finding all about it, how it was discovered. So I don't want to go into that in too much detail in this podcast, because obviously that's why you're going to go there, is to go and see and explore that. But Rainbow Mountain is an option that we add on to the end of all of our trips. It's becoming a lot more popular. Obviously, it's become super Insta famous. And we do that. So we travel back to Cusco after we've seen Machu Picchu. And then the following morning is an early start to go to Rainbow Mountain for anyone that wants to go and see it. And the number of times that I've had people go, why on earth are we getting up so early? Like, we had a long day yesterday. And it is an early start, but you do get to sleep on the bus. It's a really comfy bus, and you get to sleep on the bus on your way to Rainbow Mountain. But there's a reason why we get up early, Alex, isn't it? Because not a lot of people do get up early to go and do it, do they?
Yeah, living early in the morning, we are ahead of the big groups. The private groups, they usually go 4 a.m. or that time. Then the pool service groups are like 20 people in each group or so. They go later. That's where we try to be ahead of them, So that's why we prefer, and it's worth it at the end, because when we finish, we're on the top, and we're going back. That's when the people say, Alex, okay, it was worth it. Alex, it was worth it. When we're on the way back, because that's when we see all the people still going uphill. Say, Alex, this is like a crazy market. And that's when we realize that, okay, it was worth it. And
it's getting as busy as Machu Picchu now, isn't it? I reckon it's getting more visitors than Machu Picchu is on a day. Like, it's a lot of people going to Rainbow Mountain now, isn't it?
Yes, there's lots of people. There's even people who are coming back to Cusco, not just Machu Picchu. They've been there before. They're coming back to Cusco just to go to Rainbow. Yeah, many people from Peru, from Lima, they're coming just for the Rainbow. They stay in Cusco 2-3 days. They hike it, and then they go back home. Mm-hmm. So there are other new Rainbow ones. Maybe you can keep an eye of those.
Yeah.
Palcoyo Rainbow Mountain is another one, And
we've spoken about it, Alex, and we are going to do something with it. And I think let's just talk about that for 5 minutes. But Because
Perfect.
there is the new Machu Picchu, isn't there? There is the new one that you've got to trek into, and people can't get the train there.
Choquequirao. Choquequirao. Some of my colleagues, my friends, tour guides here call it Machu Picchu's sister. Yeah. So that is beautiful because it's perched above a canyon like Machu Picchu, above the cloud forest or in the cloud forest. As there is no train, railway, or roads they go, we still have condors. If we're lucky, we see condors in the canyon. So, and that was similar or same importance as Machu Picchu. The good thing about that place is that that's the last place that the Incas did the rebellion or the resistance. Yeah. So that's when, after that one, they went into the Vilcabamba, the last Inca refuge. That's actually the entrance to Vilcabamba, the last Inca refuge. Right. So Choquequirao is even bigger, but where we have like a different areas. And the good thing is that only hikers get there. And they are telling this or passing this information, saying that go there before the first tourist arrived, because there are two local or two towns, they're building roads, to be there. So we will see. By now, we just hike it. But not like Inca Trail people, porters. We have mules or horses that carried our stuff.
And how long is that trek, Alex? How far is that trek? What's the distances like on that trek? And how does it compare with the other three that we've just spoken about?
Right. It's a different area, different canyon, different place. It's 4 days doable. 5 days is more recommended because as that place is huge, to go to one area to the other area or sectors, you need something like a 1 hour or 45 minutes hiking. If you're going to go to the other side and see the canyon, and it's honestly a full day. So like a 4 days hiking and 1 day just exploring that place, right? But again, as I told you, we can adapt to 4 days. It's possible because we can just change campsites, we change a little bit the itinerary, and we can have that full day in that place. Another thing about the Choquequirao Machu Picchu sister is that some people, they come to Cusco, they don't want to do treks because they, Alex, no, the doctor told me that I cannot go over 4,000 meters. I have low pressure, altitude, I'm not good with it. But they still want to do treks. They still want to have the experience of that challenge, hiking the Andes. And that's the one. Because instead going a big mountain up and then down, Choquequirao, we have a deep canyon. We go down and back up, and the highest elevation we are is 3,400, Cusco, even lower. That's the highest elevation we are. So it's actually a canyon. So that's what people who are worried about altitude or so, and the people recommend to not go because of the altitude, this is a good option. And it's not that popular. It's becoming popular little by little, yes, but it's a good place to go as well.
And is that 4 days trek in total in out, or is that 4 days to get there?
It's 2 days to camp near there, 1 full day exploring that place, and then back the same way.
Yeah. And that what about, and obviously another thing that we offer, Alex, when we're there is another add-on that we do is going to the Amazon. Now, obviously that's that's an internal flight in Peru, but do you feel that should be more on people's bucket lists to add on that journey to the Amazon as well, to explore that?
When the people come here, when we do Machu Picchu, we usually say, this is the cloud forest, the entrance to the jungle. And that's when people say, oh, we're not that far. I want to go to the jungle. I wish I've been told about the jungle. That's what we recommend, because it's not that far. It's just there. You don't need too much time to get there. And it's a beautiful experience because we have beautiful lodges in the Amazon jungle and the parks in there. I'm going in April, for example.
Yeah, I love going down there. I think it's such a nice way to finish your trip off. It kind of creates it into that like 2-week holiday, really, because obviously most of the trips are kind of like 10, 11 days, aren't they? You know, Inca Trail, Lares Trek, you know, from Lima back to Lima is like a 10, 11-day trip in essence. So to add that kind of 3-night extension on to the jungle turns it into a really nice like 2-week trip. Alex,
Yeah.
my final question to you before we finish this episode is, which is your favorite trek?
That's a good question. Well, in terms of, as I told you, in terms of the history, is the Inca Trail, right? Because this is the place that we are, and I feel something when I explain Salkantay. I feel the energy of that big mountain. For me, I have a good connection of that mountain. I usually tell that story when I have hikers there. My connection. Lares, that's my area. I am from the Sacred Valley, but since I was little, I used to see these people with those red ponchos and say, where are they from? Where are they from? Since I was little, I used to ask, I used to have that question, say, where are they from? From the mountains on the other side. And now I go through, I pass by. So for me, honestly, it's very hard and difficult to tell which one is my favorite. If you ask me, oh, if I go for a coffee, Salkantay. If we go to see my friends of the mountains, Lares. If I go and tell the story of the Inca Trail and what happened there, is the Inca Trail. And don't forget Choquequirao. That's a different place. Yeah, it's a different place that maybe in the future I'm going to give you more information about different roads, different access, different entrances. They're trying to connect that one with Machu Picchu to not make like a 9 or 8 days treks, to just make it 4 days or so. Yeah. So I want to always keep informed about it.
Perfect. Well, I mean, I haven't done that one yet, and I think it needs to be a trip on my list to go and discover that. And I would certainly prefer to go and discover it. I think, like many of the listeners listening to this, before there is a road there and everyone can just get there on a bus. Like, I think it would be something special to say you visited there and trekked there before anyone else. So maybe we need to get that one added pretty quickly, Alex, so we can get a group over there to explore that one. So if that sounds interesting to you, everyone, get in touch, let me know, and maybe we can get a small group of us together to go and explore that one with Alex as well. That sounds super interesting.
Because when I told about Choquequirao, we go 2 days and then we go back. In this case, we can continue the other way, the other side of the mountain. That's a place very special. That's where you're in a remote area.
Wow, sounds absolutely amazing.
More for explorers and good hikers.
Alex, my final question to you, and when we get somebody new on the podcast, we always finish with my final question, which is, what is on Alex's bucket list?
Where? Sorry.
Right? Anywhere, Alex. What is it you want to do?
All right. My bucket list.
Yeah, your bucket list.
My bucket list. I want to climb. I want to go. I want to summit the Aconcagua. Yeah. Other bucket list is I want to do skydiving. That's those two on my bucket list.
I was only talking to Chris yesterday, one of our guides, Chris, and she said that it's your aim, and I knew that was going to be your answer. We hadn't even talked about that, but I know that you want to go and do Aconcagua for your 50th birthday in a few years' time, don't you? That is your bucket list tick. And I was only chatting to Chris about that yesterday, so I knew what the answer was going to be to that question, and you did me right. And I think we're the same age, aren't we?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
And our birthdays are very similar, aren't they? We're the same day for our birthday. Yeah. 27th of January. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are. Yeah. So our birthdays are...
We're still young, 39.
Oh, yeah. You're a lot younger than I am. Yeah. I remember that.
We're same age.
Well, Alex, thank you ever so much for coming on today and sharing your knowledge and your experience of being a guide in Machu Picchu and the treks. And I'm sure anyone that's listening will understand why we want you to be our head guide when we're out there, because your enthusiasm and your knowledge and just how you make our groups feel. And I'm sure when this episode goes out and people who have done the trek see that we've done an episode with you, they're going to jump on and listen to it, because I know you're a firm favorite with them, and they'll want to hear that voice of yours again. So, Alex, thanks ever so much for coming on today. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to be back out in Peru with you again soon to do another trek.
Thank you very much, my dear friend Keith, and all the bucket listers. All in here, I am waiting for you with an open heart. Everybody who comes here, we're welcoming you, waiting for you to explore and see this place and become good friends.
There we are. So if you've got Machu Picchu on your bucket list, then do go and check out our trips. And I will put links to the 3 different treks that we currently offer. And obviously keep your eyes peeled for maybe a 4th one coming soon. But thanks ever so much, everyone, for listening to this episode. I hope you've enjoyed listening to it as much as I've enjoyed speaking with Alex. And I'll be back next week with another episode of the Bucket Lister podcast. But until then, thanks very much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Bucket Lister podcast. Be sure to click follow to be alerted for next week's episode. For more travel inspiration, check us out at www.thebucketlistcompany.co.uk or follow us on socials. See you next time.